All right. So I did not, in fact, watch the ESPYs. As you know, an annual tradition of mine is not watching the ESPYs, not because I have anything against it. But did you see any of Shane Gillis's opening monologue?
I did not. I also don't watch the ESPYs for no other reason than I just don't watch the ESPYs.
Yeah, sure. Fair enough. And I'll also be honest, Shane Gillis is fine. Not my favorite comedian by any stretch. Definitely whatever. But he had a bit in there in a performance that I can only say landed completely flat amongst the audience that I thought was absolutely hilarious. Now, you and I are both big fans of girls' sports as dads with daughters. And he talked about naming all the people in the crowd and then doing one-liners about them. And he was like, so-and-so 4-time WNBA All-Star is here, and shows a video of someone. The crowd erupts and claps. He goes, I'm just kidding. That was my friend's wife. I knew none of y'all knew WNBA players. And I thought it was kind of hilarious how much people were applauding for just some random woman.
Yeah, that is pretty funny. Sad.
Hey, I found his dad!
I think Dad has made some excellent progress today.
Your dad, he's a fun guy, right?
And I love him so much, and I think he's the greatest dad in the world.
Welcome back to the Working on the Dad Pod. I'm Alex. With me, as always, is Ethan. And tonight we are talking about hygiene and cleanliness, keeping those dirty little goblins that we call kids clean. Before we get into that, we'll have story time. It's been a minute on story time. We'll also work on the dad bod. Even before we get all to that, it's my turn to remind you to like and subscribe wherever you get your podcast, but especially on YouTube. That's where you get to see our pretty faces. We also post video episodes to Spotify, but you can find us wherever you get your podcasts, especially if you're listening in the car. I highly recommend listening instead of watching. With that, Ethan, how are you doing this week?
Been a week for different reasons than it's been a week for you.
Sure.
For the millions of you tuning in tonight, Alex admitted before we started recording that he did not watch last week's solo appearance by me. And
I was scarred from last time, right?
Oh, well, this time was much better.
Shame on you, fool me Tice, strike 3.
There you go, Michael Scott. But what I will say is on the topic of hygiene and cleanliness, as you'll see, this open didn't look as clean as the other ones. And when Alex goes back and finally watches last week's episode, I said a lot of things where it'll make a lot more sense to him. But welcome back for all of you who have come back. As Alex said, he did ask me how my week was, and I wanted to say that bit first. So I will talk about my week and blend it right into story time, which I assume Alex will probably do. Similarly, I mentally might have given up on the whole concept of gentle parenting because I just honestly
we're out on gentle parenting.
Yeah, I just don't. Yeah, I just don't necessarily think it works if the kids are not listening and you're just trying to reason with them and you're trying to keep it calm and you're trying to explain that like you need them to go. And then at some point after, what feels like 30 minutes to me in my mind, I just yell and scare them into silence and they start doing what I need them to do. And I don't like doing it, but it is effective. So you know what? You might have killed the planet. You might have sunk the market. You might have sent your absolute worst to lead us, not once but twice. But boomers, you were on something with that non-gentle, cruel parenting. So, there you go.
Wow.
I'm with you. Game on. Cheers to all y'all.
Wow. Yeah, that's not where I was expecting that to go, but that is, this is the heel turn that I think any regular listeners of this pod could see coming a mile away.
Sure. Sure.
Where story time sometimes just evolved into Ethan's weekly yelling match with his daughter at the dinner table.
Yeah, this was the 3-year-old that put me over the edge, or the not even 3-year-old yet. She thinks it's funny not to listen, whether it be morning or night, and because of that, it kind of led me into my suggestion for tonight's topic. I brushed on it a bit last week for all of you who were here. I'll get more into it tonight after Alex's story time. But, yelling them into submission sometimes is the way to get results. So, not proud of it, but tried and true method. So, yeah. So,
there you go. Well, my story time this week, Ethan knows all this, but Ethan and I were talking beforehand, just in general about travel.
Mm-hmm.
And I have always been, well, not always, but I've definitely become much more recently over the last few years, a big fan of the day at home before you have to get back to work. After vacation, that post-vacation reset day, before you have to get back to work, school, camp, whatever you got going on. Big fan of that. Allows you to get the laundry done, allows you to shop for the groceries, allows you to decompress, sleep in your own bed, not feel rushed back into things, because I hate that feeling because it feels like it erases all the goodwill of the vacation. Well, let me tell you, I didn't get that opportunity with this most recent vacation. I was never going to have the opportunity. But as you may know, if you listened a few weeks ago now, I was traveling up to Massachusetts, see the in-laws, do a little July 4th with them, leave the kids with the grandparents for a week. My wife and I headed into Boston, worked for the week. Kids come back, we do a Red Sox game, and we initially planned to fly out that next Monday. Now, I will preface all this by saying, I'm going to throw my wife under the bus here a little bit on the start of it. We had a 7:30 p.m. flight to leave Florida to head to Massachusetts on July 3rd. And if you're any sort of seasoned air traveler, and I don't mean, George Clooney and I forget the name of the movie now, but
Up in the air?
Yes, thank you. I don't mean that. You don't need to get to the Million Mile Club here. But you understand that the later the flight, the more opportunity it is to be delayed, because that plane is making a bunch of trips during the day. One leg gets thrown off, it kicks everything down. And any more successive delays, it's fairly hard to make up significant amount of time, right? You can make up 10, 15, maybe 20 minutes, depending on the flight journey. Anyway, we're delayed. We don't leave at 7:30. And 7:35 is when my kids normally start brushing their teeth, winding down for the evening, getting on pajamas, and we do story time around 7:45. So they're wired and ready to go by 8 o'clock. And they became ungovernable on the flight.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I did not choose this flight time. I thought it was in poor taste, but we're trying to get up for July 4th. We've got a parade to go to the next day, because that's a really big deal for people that are not me within my family
Sure.
and extended family.
Sure.
We got to go to the July 4th parade. Okay, fine. I'm game. I'm just here as a chaperone, essentially. I'm going along because it sparks their joy, and that's half of what I'm here for these days. Fine. Great.
Sure.
Everybody else is happy. I'm not going to be the wet blanket. But the kids became ungovernable. 30 minutes before we land, they pass out. 30 minutes before we land. And I'm like, what's the point? You're going to get woken up. My wife has this whole strategy laid out. She's like, the kids are going to sleep on the flight. We've got our son's car seat. We've got the stroller. So we're going to put the younger one in the stroller. We're going to put the older one in the car seat. And she bought a hand truck from Home Depot and bungee strapped this car seat to the hand truck so that we could pull it like a rolling suitcase through the airport. I got to tell you, we're sitting at the car rental place in Boston at 11:45 a.m. and they are both just partying. And not to mention, we still have a 2-hour drive to where we're going once we get this rental car. My daughter in the rental car will not be quiet. She will not go to sleep. My son passes out. He's out of gas. She is like, I'm not going to sleep. I want to stay up. Not thinking it, not acting upon it, deliberately telling us that her intention is to stay up because we're staying up. And I'm like, homie, I'm driving the car. I don't want to be awake either. But you can't drive the car. And your mom is barely holding it together just so she can make sure that I don't drive us off the road. Go the fuck to sleep. Well, she doesn't, but we're still getting up for the parade. She gets up at 6:15 the next morning. Holy crap. My son gets up at 6:30. And of course, what happens every day in the evening for like the next 3-4 days? They once again become completely ungovernable because they are tired as shit. Fast forward to the next week. We meet the kids on Sunday, go to the baseball game. My wife, for some reason, has planned a 9:00 flight on a Monday. She told me for the longest time that it was a 6 a.m. flight and we'd get back at 9. And I was like, okay, I can block my calendar a little bit, like work from my phone or whatever, and like not have to take the day off. And then she goes, I guess I had always booked it for 9. They didn't change our flight time. Okay, I'm kind of pissed because like we're not landing for 3 hours and then we've got to drive 45 minutes home. But whatever. Get to the airport on Monday morning, bright and early. Don't even give the kids breakfast. Flight's canceled. Fan-freaking-tastic. We've got another day in Boston because the earliest they can get us out of there is like 8 a.m. the next day. And we're like, okay, fine. Get us out as early as possible. 8 a.m. Get a hotel room. Get over to the hotel so we can get some Wi-Fi and start working and like scrabble together this day. By the time we get to the hotel, that next flight is canceled. Like, what are we doing, JetBlue? I don't need to hide the airline. I'm throwing them under the bus. I don't understand what they were doing. First time they said it was canceled because of like crewmate wasn't feeling well. And let's be honest, shout out to all of the, all of the flight attendants. Probably wasn't you. Like they need the pilot to fly the plane. I feel like they got people in the bullpen for the flight attendants. So probably a pilot got sick. I don't know what happened on Tuesday morning. So the next flight we can get out is at 8:10 p.m. And remember what happened when we came here, season flight, season flyers, it's going to get delayed. By the time we woke up on Tuesday morning, the flight was already delayed an hour and it didn't get better. We didn't end up taking off until 10:30 p.m. Thankfully, both the kids slept 90% of that flight that started at 10:30. Then we get in. My wife's aunt had been staying at our house all week. We met her at the airport with our car at the curb. She took the car from us. She happened to land right about time we would need to arrive to the airport. Great timing. Fantastic work. So meets us at the curb, takes the car from us. We don't have to park, no finagling. She then brings it back when she's flying out of the same airport, locks the keys in the car and parks it. Fine, I have my keys. This was the plan. No problem. She decides to call my wife and tell her over voice where she parked the car. My wife did not get clear instructions. My wife did not write down this spot. And my wife's aunt did not text her or email her or message her any of this information in any way. So at 10 to 2 a.m. on Wednesday morning, my wife, while I'm sitting there corralling two kids who do not want to be asleep and want to run up and down this sort of vacant hallway leading to the West Palm parking garage, my wife is going floor to floor, aisle to aisle, searching for our car because what she thought she heard was not correct. She's setting off the car alarm on purpose, but because of the echo in the parking garage, doesn't actually know where the sound is coming from. Takes her 20 minutes to find the car, and we eventually get home close to 3 a.m. On that car ride, from the moment we got off the plane, my daughter once again did not sleep until she was in her own bed. I, luckily, having the savvy and the inability to sleep more than an hour on this 3-hour flight back home, went ahead and said, we're not going to the gym tomorrow because no way. I'm going to just bump the kids' Alexa light up an hour so that thing doesn't turn green until 7:30 a.m. Worked like a charm. I haven't set it back yet because I'm like, you need the sleep. And I didn't think I was going to the gym again this morning either, just because like I didn't sleep much. I drove us home, and on the way home, I realized, holy shit, our fridge in our kitchen is going to be empty. These kids are going to have nothing for me to pack for them for lunch. So I got to be at Publix when they open at 7. So I had to be up at 6:30 after going to bed at 3. My app that tracks my sleep was not very happy with me, gave me bad grades. So we're here, not happy about it in the slightest, but yeah, it was.
So
I had a great time in Boston. I actually had a great time on Cape Cod, but yeah, I mean, it was, a shitty ending. And of course, the end result was once again yesterday, like my daughter melting down over, like literally my wife was trying to teach her watercolors because my wife had gotten a watercoloring kit, like because she wants to get into it on a more artistic level than just paint whatever the heck you feel like as a elementary schooler or preschooler. And she was trying to show a video to my daughter, and my daughter's just breaking down over like, I hate this video. This is the worst video. I hate this. And it's like, show me how to do it. It's like, I won't show you how to do it unless you can calm down. I am calm. So
yeah.
It's been getting better.
So yeah. So couple thoughts. We will be putting an explicit tag on this episode for that F-bomb Alex dropped, so don't you worry.
I put an explicit tag on every episode because I'm never sure.
Oh, good to know. Okay, did not know that. There we go. And I say this knowing full well that I've known your wife a long time. I would have said, you booked this flight without consulting me. You booked the late takeoff and the early return when the other way around might have made more sense. At whatever. You get to drive us home on no sleep. Granted, I can't say that to my wife, who is a newer driver, but your wife's been driving longer than we have.
Here's the thing. I felt like I could handle it.
Okay.
She didn't feel like she could. Right?
Okay.
Like, I'm not mad about we're here. I'm not like, I at a certain point, you kind of got to get over it, right?
Sure.
But like, you gotta you've got to control what you can control, right? You're like, okay, the flights were canceled. The flight was booked at this time. Like, I can't change that. So being mad at that, like at her about it isn't productive. And like, I can't change that it's 2 a.m. and you can't reasonably text your aunt to get written instructions, let alone she probably wouldn't remember exactly what she told you anyway. If she was up at 2 a.m. Like, I'm just like, okay, you got to grin and bear it because everybody at this point is short on attention, short on like patience. And so I'm like, when she says, can I drive home? I'm just like, yeah, I'm good to drive home because I know I can make it. And I'd rather that than like pass out and end up in a ditch or something if I'm in the passenger seat.
Sure. I feel that. Anyway, that sounds pretty rough. I'm actually glad you didn't give all that detail in our group chat with our friends, because hearing it fresh right now was slightly entertaining, just in like a schadenfreude kind of way. The topic tonight: hygiene and cleanliness. So for those of you, the millions of you minus one, Alex, who listened last week, I got into the hand, foot, and mouth that went around my kid's school at the time of recording last week, which was Thursday night. I had mentioned how, my older daughter, the almost 6-year-old, didn't get it. Let's fast forward 24 hours. She got it. And, well, that was frustrating. Or actually, you know what? Let me scratch that. Less than 12 hours, because it was in the morning when I said, she cannot go to school today because the hand, foot, and mouth is coming. And so, unlike with with my almost 3-year-old, I was able to work from home because I could just put the older one in her room and say, you're drawing and reading books while I work. Whereas the other one, I literally had to sit next to and watch like a hawk and clean everything she touched. And, it was truly just one of the most exhausting days of my life. And I was sitting.
Sure. Sure.
I mentioned going for a run in a thunderstorm at the end of the day. Survived, but honestly, wouldn't have cared because I was just that exhausted if I got struck by lightning on that run.
Bill Murray in Groundhog Day, just throwing the toaster in the
exactly. Exactly. So on that note, hand, foot, and mouth spreads, especially in a preschool, because of not the best cleaning when you rely on a bunch of little kids. And this week in particular, despite the fact that we have been enforcing it much harder with everything going on, my kids have just been really lazy and annoying about washing their hands. And especially the younger one, and I mentioned, gave up on gentle parenting, legit just like running out of the bathroom, screaming, no, I don't want to wash my hands, putting her hands in her mouth, then running and trying to touch her sister before I can, stop her. And then the older sister kind of laughing, which just then encourages her. And before you know it, I'm yelling at 2 kids. And it is rough because all I want is for them to just, like Daniel Tiger says, when you have to go potty, you stop and go right away, flush and wash, then be on your way. It doesn't go flush, be on your way, and then eventually wash. That's not the song that Daniel Tiger sings, okay? And so, coming back to this, I try to instill good hygiene habits. I still, with the swimsuit on, shower with both the girls most nights. And, I'm telling them to having them do their own body washing. And I point out to my older daughter when I notice that there's spots of her body that don't have soap. And she's been really flippant with me lately about when I say it's not about how fast you do it, it's about how well you do it, which, applies to a lot of things, not just soaping and getting clean. And it's been rough. So that's kind of like my preamble on hygiene and cleanliness. So I'll kick it to you for a minute to, either vent or talk about what works perfectly for you. So
yeah, no, it's perfect. I mean, I think backing up a little bit, like usually do a like why it matters kind of thing, right? And
yeah,
I don't want to get too in the weeds on this because like why it matters. Come on, it's because you're clean, right? But I think past the just like you want to be clean, you don't want to be dirty, you don't want the side effects, whether that's illness or whether that's, cavities, right? If we're talking about like dental hygiene or smelling bad, or in the case of like washing hair, forgetting the cleanliness of your own hair, right? Tangles, all that kind of stuff. And it is definitely a much bigger battle with my oldest than my youngest, to get her to do that. Like she is very much in the camp of like, she hates brushing her teeth. Brushing teeth is the biggest battle, right? Bathing is not nearly as bad. I think it's a more of a sensory experience for them. She loves just like standing in the shower. Like she's gotten into showers recently and like she doesn't know what a quick shower is yet. Like she just will stay in there as long as she can. She's just going to test that water heater, right? Find its breaking point. She hasn't found it yet, luckily. But I think it past that actual cleanliness portion, it's as much about responsibility, right? Just like this is a place, and I think that helps sometimes with the framing, but like this is a place where you have control, where you have autonomy over, yourself and your body. And I think that's not always something that kids feel. And I think it's an opportunity to give them that. But even with that framing, it still can feel like a chore. right?
Yeah.
And so that's where it's always tough. And like with my oldest, like I mentioned, the brushing the teeth is such a battle. And Ethan, I kid you not, like we brushed her teeth for her until she was probably about 4. And she wanted to do it herself, and we coach her up and we set timers and like make her brush, and like she throws a fit if we try to finish for her, which we do with my son still and probably will for a while. But she throws a fit about us finishing for her. A month ago that child had like 4 cavities filled.
Yikes.
Like she just her mouth, like she's just not doing a good job. And getting her to like understand the cause and effect, you would think would be a pretty simple exercise. Yes, they drilled into your teeth because you are literally not listening to us.
Question. First statement, 36 years old. I've never had a cavity, proud of myself.
Sure.
But if you get a cavity, I assume these were not cavities on baby teeth. Were these cavities on adult teeth?
I think a couple were baby teeth.
So if you have a cavity on a baby teeth, can you just wait till it falls out?
I never got a clear answer.
Okay.
On that.
I know you're not a dentist. That just to me seems like
I'm not a dentist. And I did a little bit more of taking the dentist's word for it than just like, okay, you say, and it cost a pretty penny, right? Like literally I had to move their 6-month checkup from December to January because we were, out of like, we would be paying full price for the checkup because they were out of like insurance was like, we're out. Right. So yeah, not the greatest look, but at the same time, I'm like, she's got to learn, right? Like, and trying to teach her like, hey, you've got to brush and brush well. And she does this thing. Like I always preach the words and she hates when I do it, but I say statue mode because she wants to be a wiggle worm. She wants to dance around. She wants to do everything while that toothbrush is in her mouth, besides like focus on doing a good job with that toothbrush. Mm-hmm. And like, I'll see her dancing around and I'm like, the toothbrush isn't moving relative to your teeth. You're just letting the timer run out while you suck on that thing. Like, that's not it. That's not it. And you need to, especially, she'll do the thing or she focuses right here. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, you're chewing your food back here. That's where the cavities are. That's where both the like fillable cavities are and like cavities as in a dip in your tooth where crevices where things can get. That's where more of them are, right? Get back there. And so, getting her to do that and, like the dentist and the dental hygienists weren't super helpful. They're just like, yeah, limit sugar and juices and like blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, yes, but here's the thing. I don't disagree with that, like on principle, on health, on whatever. But I'm like, I don't think kids are getting cavities because they're not rinsing their mouth out with water every time they drink juice. Like, it's because homie's not doing a good job of brushing her teeth. Like, and we all know it and we're trying to coach it. And so what I'm looking for is not have this kid who already hates how long her daily to-do list is, have more things that she's supposed to remember to do to keep up with this. Like, that's a crappy answer, just like strategically. Agreed. And I think probably scientifically.
Yeah.
I wasn't going to argue with them. I did tell my daughter to do those things. I didn't disagree with the hygienist in the moment or in front of my daughter, but I'm just like, you got to brush your teeth better. Like, this is terrible. Yeah. So I get, I'm there with you on like different stuff. Like, and yeah, I've had 2 cavities in my life. They got filled at the same time. And the only reason I got those cavities, and my mom recently got some cavities too, and it was for the same reason. Is because I had had heart surgery, she had had knee surgery, and we were on a bunch of antibiotics. And those antibiotics, they can screw with your, like they kill the bad bacteria and the good bacteria, and that messes up things in your mouth. And my dentist said as much, and my mom goes to the same dentist I do now as I did when I was a child, like whatever. Mm-hmm. And like, they both said that, yeah, antibiotics mess up that gut microbiome. And the only other major dental work I've had to have is I had to have like a crown put on because one of the fillings I got when I was like 13 years old, like started coming out, cracking the tooth. And so they had to
Mhm.
cover it up, right?
Right.
Just 20-year repair kind of thing. So I'm like,
Sure.
I don't get this. Like, your mom has had a couple of fillings. Like, I think it's normal to have a couple of fillings over your life, but not before you get to first grade. Like, this is
Right.
ridiculous, man.
Yeah. I would say the one spot where my older daughter learns like the consequences is, say, every couple of months she'll just get a diaper rash, despite the fact she doesn't wear diapers. She's almost
Sure.
6, but I say, have you been wiping too fast? And she'll say, yeah. And I said, well, that is why you got that. Your butt hurts, and like if this is why it's important to not go as fast as you can. It's important to do a good job, and every couple of months we run into this issue, but it learns. I just wish she would, learn the other, every other version of cleaning. And now that my younger daughter, she'll be 3 at the end of August. She's becoming more and more independent, more and more stubborn. She is really happy to just run around constantly, and like when she makes her older sister laugh, her like idol is laughing, thinks she's funny. She just wants to keep going, and it's tough. This was a very, very tough week after all the hand, foot, and mouth last week, and not knowing if and then on a Monday night, no, on Tuesday, my wife got food poisoning, and so she was kind of out of commission when she came home from work. So I also had morning, like I do mornings on my own. She was out of commission after, and then didn't feel great the next day. So I haven't had a break. So I'm looking forward to this vacation that we're going on in less than 48 hours. And even though there's some yeah, I have mixed feelings always about the beginning of the vacation where we stop and see my grandma, because she's been tough to talk to recently.
Yeah.
Uh,
A
not
little bit of that obligation as much
yeah,
as enjoyment kind of
yeah,
stage. You're like, you gave me so much in life. I got to say hi because it gives you something.
yeah.
It's the
It's
4th of
more
July parade, man. It's not
it,
about you.
yeah, it's kind of like I'm going to the beach in New York for a week, which is 60 to 90 minutes away from where my grandma lives. I can't
Right.
drive by her house without
Sure.
showing her great granddaughters. Like, despite
Sure.
how painful it can be sometimes. So, and it's fine to say that she has no idea what a podcast is. So
Sure.
I'm not too worried about it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm excited for the vacation. I'm excited to just be out of my element for a bit. Like Alex mentioned at the beginning of the episode, we are coming back the following Saturday and having a normal Sunday here in the DC area before everything kicks back off on Monday. But just gotta make it through one more workday. And I've mentioned on this podcast many times how much it kind of shifted my whole life, losing the ability to telework a lot. Now it's only on occasion, but on Sunday evening, I looked at my wife and I said, I just hope I can go into the office 5 days this week, because that means it's a normal week. Like, no one, I'm not staying home with hand, foot, and mouth twice. Like, granted, her food poisoning didn't really impact like my ability to go to work and the kids' sickness, but I just if I can go to the office tomorrow, then I have a full normal week where nothing went catastrophically wrong.
There you go.
Catastrophically. It just took me. It's been a week, man. It took me a second. Then take another sip of this blueberry mead. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think talking about some tricks, right, to make hygiene fun. I think this is one of those areas where, like, I could talk about some of the things that have worked for us, and I will, but it's an area where it's going to vary a lot kid to kid, right?
Sure.
Some suggestions from experts are different things like stickers and rewards, and I'm not big on that, right? It's a little bit like, this is a thing you should do because it's good for you, not because like, it's sort of like eating quality food, that I don't want to turn it into like a bribing system where it feels
Right.
like you get a sticker if you brush your teeth. One, that's a lot of stickers, and
It's a lot of
two,
stuff.
I'm against it. I'm against like that. But if it works at the same time, like, I think, and you're okay with it, or you find sort of the right reward system, like, hey, I think it doesn't have to always be stickers, but like doing a good job, right? If you brush for this long, or if I can't find any dirt or whatever, you get an extra book or an extra song or something like that, and like bake it in where it's no longer a reward as much as like you're just like kind of willing to give something extra, you know, could potentially work. One thing that has worked for us is leaning into character stuff, right? We've talked about this before in other avenues, but with my son, especially getting him excited about toothbrushing, we had two toothbrushes for him for a long time. We had a Spider-Man toothbrush, and we had a green toothbrush that had a button on it that would light up, and the button would go for like 90 seconds or something to tell you how long he needed to brush. Even though we were doing the brushing, but he liked that it lit up. And so every night we'd go green or Spider-Man. And so he'd get to pick whatever his mood was, and it would get him a little more excited about it. My daughter, the same thing, but she kind of like saw through it, right? She's a little too smart for her own good. She's like, I understand the game you're playing. And I'm like, yeah, not wanting your teeth to rot out of your skull. You got me. And so she saw through that a little bit more, but like, and again, it goes back to the kid. Like, I used to be able to get her to wash her hands really well by like pick a song and sing it twice. I know they say happy birthday because that's like the right length, but I'm like, if ABCs is going to be the song, let's sing ABCs, right? You want to sing a Taylor Swift jam, sing a Taylor Swift jam. I don't care, because like 1 minute is better than no minutes, is better than a fight, right? It's like let's get somewhere with this versus like how long is the perfect song length. So you pick the song, right? Let's get there, because eventually happy birthday will work once or twice, and then they'll be like, well, I'm bored with this. No, I need something new. So I think those are some of the tactics. I've also seen like who's the cleanest kid competition, making a competition, making a little bit of that. My son could not be allowed to win that competition, right? Because that turns into like a meltdown from my daughter if she doesn't win. You can't just like coach her up at bedtime, like, because bedtime's the tough part, right? Everybody's running on fumes. Parents want this to be over. Kids don't want this to happen. It's an unstoppable force meeting an immovable object in terms of attitudes. And so like the last thing you need is to introduce something that is going to lead to a breakdown. And that's sort of why I'm against the rewards and against the competition, because like if you don't give it, whether it's the victory trophy or just the sticker, then you're a bad guy, and then it's a fight, and then it's a breakdown, and it's like, no, go to sleep, you unstressed, totally calm little cherub.
Right.
That's not how that works. But again, if you've got kids that can thrive on the competition, accept that they've lost, by all means, do a cleanest kid competition, or make it fun, like turn it into Simon Says, right? Or turn it into some other, red light, green light, or some other game that you can gamify, like green light, brush your teeth, red light, stop brushing your teeth. And they're not competing against each other so much as they're just like seeing if they can start and stop, right? Or soaping their body, or like Simon Says, go under your arms. Simon Says, soap your nose. Simon Says, wash your knees. And it's like, oh, Simon didn't say whatever.
So I might try Simon Says in the shower tomorrow. Gonna maybe I can make that work and keep it in the same time constraints. That's a good idea. I will say this, because you just mentioned it. So both the kids flip out with soap on their face. Sure. So I actually, for the most part, have just relied on the fact that when I am washing the shampoo out of their hair, which is essentially what we use as soap, baby shampoo doubles, that their face is going to be clean. And for the most part, it has been for their whole life. Just the gravity clean, because they don't seem to notice it then. But I'm always using like the sprayer to ensure that the soap is getting on their face. So, yeah. And then I end up being like, oh, there's some soap on your face. Let me rinse it. And I'm just spraying their face and they're clean. But, that eventually that will happen.
I'm a cup guy. I do the cup so that I can, fill the cup with water, dump it over there, lean back, look at the ceiling. I put my hand here. So I'm not getting anything on their face because they do both freak out, they're crap at closing their eyes. My daughter takes care of herself now, but, when she was younger and my son now, I need to keep the hand there because they do freak out. But I think it's interesting because like you guys have like bath time sort of as part of your like getting ready for the night routine, right?
Yeah. So we go dinner, shower, bed.
Yeah.
And I do, and I shower with both of them while my wife is getting like cleaning, making sure all their rooms are ready. Toothpaste is on the toothbrush, stuff like that. And then my older daughter will normally get out first, and my wife will brush her hair because it goes like below her knees. And then while she's doing that, I'm usually entertaining the little one in the shower. And then, and then, she gets out. I lose the bathing suit. I clean the special places. I get out, and then we do bedtime.
Yeah. I will say we don't weave it into the bedtime routine as much. We actually usually do it before dinner or sometime before bed. And the other thing, this may throw people for a loop, and people may think I'm disgusting, but we've actually done a little research on this. Our kids only bathe about 3 times a week, roughly every other day. We're not an everyday, it's going to depend on the situation, right? They roll around in mud, they're getting a bath. They went in the pool, got chlorine all over them, they're getting a bath. They were hot and sweaty outside, they're getting a bath. But like if it's a normal day where they've spent the majority of the day inside, they haven't gotten really sweaty, we might not give them a bath. But we also use baths in a couple and the rationale behind that is not, just sort of like, oh, it's unnecessary. Why pick this fight? It's more around like, we live in Florida, it's hot. And yeah, that might make people prone to sweating more, but at the same time, like it can also dry out your skin more. And like the natural oils on your skin, it's just sort of like, it's not, and I'm not poo-pooing anybody that bathes every day. I get that that's a very normal occurrence in what I did as a kid, and I'm not like against it, but it's basically just sort of like, if you're not dirty, we're not going to like force this issue, but we do use the baths in a couple of scenarios. One, usually when it's time, when they're due for a bath because it's been 2 days or whatever, like we use it as sort of like a play experience and a sensory experience for them, and like allowing them to sort of calm down and like getting them excited about it. And another thing we quite often do is my wife loves herself a bath. She loves a relaxing bath. And so what we do is my wife goes in, she cranks the heat up in the tub, gets it hot as she wants, relaxes, soaks, reads a book, locks the door, and sits there for 20 minutes. And
sounds great for her.
It's fantastic for her. It's fantastic for her. She gets time alone. She gets time to decompress. And I'm not mad about it. Because what I do is I say, how long you need? 15 minutes, 20 minutes? She says, 20 minutes. I'm like, great. I set a timer on Google. We go for 20 minutes. You know what that does? That makes the kids crazy for a bath. They want to get in there with mom. It's all they want to do. They're waiting for that timer to go off. Is it time? Hey, Google, how much time is left on my timer? Hey, Google, how much time is left? I'm like, it's been 30 seconds, bro. Calm down. But they can't wait to get in there. And then my wife is in there and the water has cooled down to a kid appropriate temperature. And she sits in there with them. She bathes them. She cleans them. She washes their hair. She does all that. And then she gets out and she lets them play and have that sensory experience. And you know what happens while they're in the tub? I get my 20 minutes.
There you go.
So it's a fair trade, and I'm all for it, right? And so I'm like, and that's one way that we've done it. And obviously, my daughter's 6.5. There's going to be a point in the not too distant future where she no longer feels comfortable taking a bath with my wife or with her younger brother. I'm fine with that. Again, homegirl loves a shower. I wish she liked showers half as much and brushing teeth twice as much, but we'll take what we can get here, right? So, that's always an option, especially when you've got younger kids. You mentioned going in with your kids, but like if they're struggling to like get them in the bath, get them in the shower, get them clean, tell them they can't come with you. Watch what happens.
So my kids have no problem. The showering's never been an issue. I mentioned, trying to go as fast as they can sometimes with the soap, but there's the usual rule is whoever gets in first gets to get out first. So they kind of race to get in, which is good. Today was just tough because my defiant little baby girl, who just decided she didn't want to listen about anything this week, was just running away from my wife. So by the time she got in, I was finished with the older one. So, that was just been a week, man. Been a week. You know this too. We both had weeks. So
yeah, for sure. Yeah.
This is blueberry maple mead, by the way. Shout out to Clear Skies Meadery here in Maryland. Comes to the Silver Spring Farmers Market every week. Big fans. Yeah.
Nice.
So, yeah.
But
do you want to? Yeah.
No, go ahead. I was going to say you want to work on the dad bod. I think we kind of covered the hygiene. I wish you guys the best of luck in your cleaning pursuits.
Yeah, I do. So I got here this nice little piece of paper. It's been 7 weeks since my last in-body screening with the fancy machine that does the electrical in-body screening at my office. So this is now my third one of these. I did one 14 weeks ago. They said to do it every 6 to 8 weeks. So I did one 7 weeks ago, did one today. My weight today was 183.6. So I've gained a pound since last week. That said, I'm not too worried about it because I'm going to go with the theory / science that muscle is denser than fat because of the other results I'm going to say here. So 14 weeks ago, my body fat percentage was 25.1. 7 weeks ago, 21.0. Today, 19.1. I've lost 6% body fat in the last 14 weeks. You can see it in my clothing. You can see it just hopefully in my face. I'm feeling good. I mentioned last time you and I talked on this pod that I was trying to add a 0.1 speed every day once I reached 30 minutes. Honestly, I hit my plateau at 8.2 miles per hour. I decided that consistently, it would just be better if I kept it at 8.0 for 30 minutes. So most days I hit that 4 miles. I would say in any given week, I am running between 15 and 20 miles a week. Sometimes if I look at the clock too early, I stop at 22 minutes, which is 3 miles instead of 4. But that's more of like a mental issue, plus the lifting. And every single day that I have worked, I consider work days and workout days to be the same. I've also done when we have like an easy Saturday or Sunday, if there's going to be about an hour, I'll tell my wife I want to go for a jog. I go, get some time to myself, come back. That gets the extra workout in. But, things have been going well. I've had two exercise-induced urgent care visits, one in my shoulder, one in my lower back. Basically, she told me the same thing. You're working out too hard, so I'm trying to be a little better about it. But
you got to be mindful there.
Yeah, but for the most part, I'm looking good, feeling good, trying to take care of myself. On that note, I've got a 41-day streak of Duolingo going, so my Espanol is mejor, and Duolingo now has chess and math. So guess what? I can do some math, and I'm okay at chess. But I've also this year I'm on my 8th audiobook. So
Nice.
I'm a full on listener, a speaker of Espanol, and I'm in good shape right now. So despite everything that I was dreading in November, this is turning out to be not the worst year for me. So
Sure.
trying to take control.
Glad to hear it.
Yeah.
Glad to hear it. Yeah. So, I had not stepped on the scale in a couple weeks. We haven't recorded in 3 weeks, and I don't know that I stepped on the scale since then. And I got to be honest, I stepped on the scale for the first time probably 3 weeks this morning. And I was nervous, right? Like vacation mode.
Sure.
Being in Boston, we rented a car to get out to Cape Cod, dropped it off as soon as we got back to Boston. My steps were up, right? I was getting my activity minutes in just by walking, but we were also within walking distance of a YMCA. Shout out Nationwide membership. Hit that up 4 times during my vacation in Boston. So felt good doing a normal workout. Weirdest gym ever been in.
Okay.
It was clearly something else before then, maybe like a high school gymnasium, because it's like catty corner from a high school across the street. But it's basically got 2 basketball courts, and then it's got on 2 sides of it, lower and upper. These things are like the dimensions and size of like shipping containers, right? It had rooms. And so one room was the machines. One room was the cardio equipment. One room was sort of like stretching and like light dumbbells and a few other machines. And one was sort of like the fit zone, like the turfed areas with like the weighted medicine balls and the like boxes for box jumps and that kind of jazz. And then there was a separate room that looked like it used to be like a high school basketball weight room that was like the barbell stuff. So wild layout. You literally had to walk across the corner of the basketball court to get to the workout facilities, to get into the first set of shipping containers. You could go up and down, but then you had to walk across another corner to get to the other set. Wild. Absolutely wild setup, but we got it done. And I got on the scale this morning, 178.4. Not mad about it. It's not bad. I mean, it's honestly, I don't even remember what my weigh-in was 3 weeks ago, but I think it was right around there. And so I was kind of worried because like I was doing a really good job of like being mindful, right? I went out to brunch one day and like I felt an enormous sense of pride because like I was really looking for something like fresh and sort of like an acidic flavor at this brunch. And I asked the guy, which 2 of these sandwiches with like the green tomatoes on it would you recommend? And he goes, I wouldn't really recommend either of these sandwiches. I don't like them that much. I'm a big fan of the biscuits and gravy or the chicken and waffles. If you understood my first sentence, you understand that what he recommended was not my vibe. I relented though, because I wasn't going to I didn't want to just go, I still want the sandwich, bitch. So I got the chicken and waffles, but I didn't finish it. Like I literally was just like, okay, I recognize that I am hungry and I should eat food, but like I ate as much as I wanted, and then I just kind of like set it aside, and I had about a third of the chicken and waffles like left, and I was like, I'm good, right? I'm okay with this, and so I did feel pretty good there, where I wasn't counting my calories on the vacation, but I was trying to be mindful. Like I'd go out to lunch some days, and there were Boston had a ton, like Sweet Green, Dig In, like some of these chains, like smaller chains, but these chains that just like you're basically building like lettuce, rice, meat, beans, veggie bowls, right? And so I had that a couple times, right? I tried to like keep wherever I could, get some veggies in there so I could get some fiber, right? Thinking more about what I wanted to add and less about what I wanted to take away. And so I felt pretty good. All that said, I'm like, it's been a minute sort of in this like cruise control maintenance mode, and I'm doing well with it. So I do think probably starting next week, just because like right now I'm operating on not as much sleep as I would like over the last couple of days. Because in addition to the whole nightmare of flying, the first night we stayed in a hotel with the kids after the Red Sox game, we had a 1-room, 1 king bed hotel room with a couch, and my daughter slept on the couch, and my son slept between me and my wife. And homeboy, if I'm laying like this and my wife's laying like this, my son decided that an H would be Elmo's letter of the day. And I'm just like, I don't know. Sure. I'm getting kicked in the head. I didn't get the head. I didn't get his head. I got his feet kicking me in the neck and the head. So, I've been I was struggling a little bit.
Gotta put him at the foot of the bed.
So, but anyway, I was going to say next week, I think I want to start, making a concerted effort to cut down a little bit, see where that goes, cut a little bit more body fat. As I get going, I've been doing pretty well with like my mobility based routine and increasing that function. So I'm going to keep that there, but I think up the, weightlifting a little bit, maybe add in some different elements, like working a little bit more on like cardio endurance, those kind of things to see where it goes. But yeah, overall pretty pleased.
Yeah, well, that's good, man. Glad to hear it. My goal on vacation next week, since we will be at a beach house, my goal is to jog every day. I think if I can do that in the morning before we get the day going, then that would be ideal for me. It also won't be super hot, so that's the goal. And you know what? I did remember the cold open. I forgot. I bought College Football 26, and I've been much better about how many hours I'm playing because we've been quite busy with a lot of things. I didn't buy it till this week because honestly, with all the hand, foot, and mouth in the house, I was like, I kind of want to be sure that like we've passed it before I get it on my controller. So didn't buy it last week. But what I will say is, you should get it because I got a couple people who are interested in wanting to do a Dynasty. I'll run it. It's cross-play this year. So, the people with PS5s can play with us. And I'm happy to be the commissioner of that. I've got some ideas on how to keep it really well maintained. So I just want to make sure you get an opportunity to play a bit while I'm gone.
Sure. I need to get my reps in. It's been a minute since I played 25 just with life. Yeah, so I need to get some reps in.
It's hard. It's harder. 26 is a little harder. I'm also being a little more so I start
asking for it to be harder, so I'm excited.
Yeah. I will just say I started for like just my own dynasty so I could get a feel for everything. I'm the offensive coordinator at Florida Atlantic. I chose that because I wanted to pick a 2-star program. Scheduled my first 2 games against Florida and Miami. Lost a combined like 100-7. But I'm 3-4 right now. My contract says I need to win a 4th game to get renewed. So I think I'll get there. About to play 6-0 Navy, but it should be it's fun. It's fun. I'm not surprised.
I hear you. I think it'll be fun. Jump in there and take it. But I think I don't know that we should get too into the weeds. I don't know that our listeners are here for the college football 26.
This is what I call the cold close because I forgot the cold open. So
there you go.
Yeah. Anyway,
we're cold closing it, man.
It's true. I was going to say
talk over it. Yeah. Thank you guys for joining us. Like and subscribe.
Yeah, this one doesn't seem to have the words.
Yeah, exactly.